So we're here for advanced training. So congratulations. That means that you have gone past all the, the technical stuff. You got past the boring, getting over the hump of just getting used to where buttons are different on expert versus velocity. And now you're ready to sort of things to the next level. And I assume this is probably the reason why the majority of you decided to velocity was for all of the extra bells and whistles and taking your efficiencies to the next level. That's my assumption. I could be wrong, but we are getting into the fun stuff here. So this is not for the beginner, but if you are a beginner, you are more than welcome to watch and absorb as you see fit. So I assume you can see my screen. I wanted to start off on the velocity dashboard because I do think that it's the easiest way to visualize. The theme of everything I'm going to talk about today is essentially how do we put workflows into place and CRM into place and text messaging, and how do we put your processes in such a way that every single customer that you deal with, whether or not it's a $20,000 mortgage or it's a $2 million mortgage, how do we make every single one of those people feel like they are your only customer, they are your one and only, and that you are always thinking about them and that you value them. And more importantly, you're not spending hours and hours answering people's questions and running around like a chicken with your head cut off because, as you get busier and busier, and I know that this is a crazy time for everybody. So thanks for setting aside time out of your schedule for this. But I want you to be able to download some of those constant updates, some of those constant questions, be able to download them into Velocity and let Velocity take over so that you can free up your time to focus on problem solving, relationship building, developing more business. And I don't want you to spend a ton of time spinning your wheels on basic things that Velocity could be automating for you. Okay, so I want to start off on the dashboard because I just want to give you a of what the stages are like. And you probably already, but I wanted you to think about the stages in a visual way, because I think that the very first step for most of us who want to do advanced activities in Velocity is to make a list. So I always recommend, if you don't already have one, that you should start making a list. And your list should basically have the following headings: my leads, my pre-approvals, my unsubmitted new deals, submitted, approved, accepted, waiting to close, funded, maybe even my declines, maybe even my canceled. I want you to kind of make a list or a checklist or a chart that starts off with all of the categories. And I want you to think, if I had 48 hours in a day instead of 24, if I had a personal assistant, if I had a team of personal assistants all working for me, what would be my ideal communication strategy at every stage of the mortgage? Because if you could get ahead of all of your clients and answer their questions before they even think to ask them, A, they will feel super informed. B, they will think, wow, my mortgage broker is so on the ball. I know, I never had to wonder where we were at. And C, you can spend your day answering phone calls and emails that are actually, unexpected and unique. And all of those other more standard pieces can be all taken care of for you. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Leads. I have someone who I put in as a lead, or maybe they got ingested through my API. I have like a leads sourcing website that I deal with. Whatever way you get your leads in, what would be your communication strategy for your leads? So for example, I want to, every time I get a lead in, I want to send out a quick email, maybe the next day, saying, hey, it was so great to have you referred to me by so-and-so. I would really love a chance to get to work with you. Maybe 3 days later, I send them a text message that says, just wanted to follow up and find out if you had any questions from the last email I shared. Maybe 7 days later, I send out a reminder, here's my online link. When you have a chance, please fill in your information. We'll get you pre-approved. Those are 3 examples of things that I would want to do to someone that was in as a lead, but I don't want to have to actually physically do those things. So think about what would be your ideal communication strategy for a lead. Maybe you send a text, maybe you make a personal phone call, maybe you send an email, maybe it's a combination of all three of those things. So think about your lead communication strategy. When do you stop communicating with that lead? When do you give up on that lead? And then what happens when that lead does fill out an application, right? So think about your strategy with your pre-approvals. I would love it if my velocity system automatically, as soon as I have clicked approved or my lender has given me a rate hold and sent back an approval, I would like Velocity to send out an email that says, hey, we've got you pre-approved. You're now free to go out and shop. You can shop for a house up to $5,000. It'll actually fill that part in for you, by the way. We're going to hold this rate for you, 1.87, until May the 31st. If you want, Velocity can do that for you. It can pre-package that text, that email that goes out to the client, or maybe it's a text message that tells the client, yes, I've got you pre-approved now. Please go out shopping. It can let the referral source know at the same time. So the client and the referral source might get two separate emails that say, no, two separate things. And then maybe 7 days later, I send them an edible arrangement. Maybe 3 days later, I send them a text to say, how's the house hunting going? Think about, we'll figure out how to do all this in a minute, but think about your strategy. What would be, like I said, you have unlimited hours in a day. You have ultimate, a whole team of assistants working for you. Tell me what your dream communication strategy would be for pre-approvals, for people who have, thank you for your new application. We plan to have it at the lender in the next 4 hours. Your deal has been submitted. We expect to hear back from the lender in approximately 24 hours. Maybe 1 day later, another message pops up and says, hey, we still haven't got that approval yet, but things are much busier. I assure you we're following up with the lender. When the deal is approved, what would you like? A text message? Hey, I've got your approval. Let me know what time is good to chat. Or would you prefer a more formal email that says, here's the next steps. Here's what you can expect. Lay out your perfect strategy. That is step one. Okay. Step two is, now how do I put all of this stuff in on Velocity? So what you want to do is, now that you have your list of your ideal communication strategy, this is like I'm a super broker. My clients are going to be wowed by me at every stage of the game. Now that you've got that ready to go and set up, we can get into Velocity and start building out your workflows, building out your processes, and building out your CRM. Because those three, like your CRM, your workflows, your phone calls, your text messages, those are all ways that you can like if you do every single communication with your client via email, you're only going to hit a certain demographic that likes reading everything in an email. If you do every single thing via text, you're only going to hit a certain demographic who likes text. And you're going to have like my mom who's like, why are you texting me? Why don't you phone me instead? So, think about having a well-rounded approach to all of these stages, and think about, keeping it varied is how it feels like you are actually personally thinking about your client and reaching out at, these 20 different stages, when meanwhile, all you're doing is approving things in the morning and clicking a button, and they're all just going by them, except for the phone calls. Of course, the phone calls, you have to do them yourself. So that's why I wanted to show you the dashboard, just to kind of get you thinking about all the different stages. And there's like in between stuff in here too, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples now of how this works for me in my pretend brokerage on a day-to-day basis. So I love using My Day because it's all I had available up until the CRM just launched this week. So now I use a combination of My Day and my CRM. With My Day, I have set up all of my processes in terms of people that I want to phone and people that I want to text, and just like regular deal stages, like print paperwork, follow up for MPP. Do we have all of the conditions in 15 days before closing? So whenever I click on My Day on the left-hand sidebar here, I come into Velocity, and Velocity is telling me everything that needs to go, everything that needs to be done. It's put all of my personalized scripts in there already. It gives me the chance to go ahead and make the phone call. I've got the phone numbers all there at my fingertips. I've got access to the deals. If I need to drop in and answer more complicated questions, I've got the little to do and done indicators to cross things off my list as I do them. So here are some examples. I've set up an automatic reminder that says whenever a deal I don't know, whenever a deal hits the accepted stage, I send a flower arrangement. Or maybe it's when a deal is closed. This one doesn't really make sense, but I send a flower arrangement at a certain stage of the application. Maybe it's to my referral source, maybe it's to my client, whatever it is. I set it up as a phone call reminder. So I would actually, put that in as a phone call to get the address or to get the information to send the flower arrangements. And when I'm done, I would say I'm done. One that's a bit more realistic would be something like this. The maturity date is 6 months out. I definitely have an email that goes out that says, hey, your mortgage is coming up for maturity. But what if that email address, what if they left that job during the pandemic and that email address didn't go anywhere? Or maybe it went into their junk message mail folder and they have not bothered to check the junk mail folder. So I like to have, in addition to the email that goes out to my client, I like to do a phone call to say, hey, just wanted to check in. Did you get my email? I really want to make sure that we discuss your maturity before we decide if you stick with your current company or if anything has changed. So I've got it set up in here. It links to the old deal. It's got both of my clients, Lisa and John's phone numbers are both listed there. I've even got my little script. Maybe I have like 5 talking points that I want to always make sure that I mention when I call. And then I would pick up the phone and I would call that client. I would talk to them, mark it as done if I manage to get a hold of them, and I work my way down my phone call reminders list. So do a 1-year check-in, call the client to ask if they made their solicitor's appointment, call the client to say, here's an update on your mortgage. So those I set up as workflow phone calls. Okay, that's a couple of examples of ways that you can have reminders popping up automatically, have the scripts, have all the phone numbers. I don't have to individually go into all these deals to make these 6 phone calls. I can just bam, 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 maybe like 10 in the morning is when I do all my phone calls. That's an example. Then I have my text messages. So text messages, up until last week, I used my workflows for all my text messages. I think I'm going to start transferring them over to the new CRM text messages. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. So I send a text message to every brand new client. And the reason I do that is because I have my Twilio text messaging integrated with Velocity. So for those of you who have not yet done this, if you go to newton.ca, it's our training page, learn on the training page. And if you type in if you just go to the very, very bottom of the page, as soon as you land on Velocity, the learning training page, the very end of that train line is called frequently asked questions, FAQ. And if you click on FAQ, the very second topic that comes in there is the free promotions. So direct text messaging is the one I'm talking about right now. There's a promo code that will get you free text messaging up until June the 30th. And then if you like it, you can keep it and you can pay $50 a year for unlimited texting. We also have free e-sign. There's a promo for the free e-sign. And we also have free easy account, the bank account down payment confirmation tool. The TransUnion promo is over now, but easy account, e-sign, and text messaging, there are promo codes in here and there are instructions on how to sign up and use the free promo codes. And I really recommend that you take advantage of these free, because then you can figure out if it's working for you and if you want to pay for it before you actually start paying for it. So long story short, get your free promo for text messaging. Every single time I have a new client, a new deal, I don't do this for my leads, maybe not, but for every brand new application, every new client, I have an automatic text message reminder that pops up and it says, hello, and it puts the client's name in there. It says, this is Michelle Arujo. This is the number I'll be texting you from. And then I can just send the text right from there. So every morning I come in, I might have 1 new client. I might have 10 new clients. I can send them one by one. I can add personal messages into these if I want. I can reference their partner or their pet or something new that's happened since the last time I talked to them. Or I can keep them all exactly as they are and click send, 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 send. Or I could even do a bulk send and I could send all 10 at the same time. Now, the reason I say I'm going to start migrating all of my SMS messages off of My Day, I'm going to start putting them onto my new Velocity CRM is because right now this works great for the main borrower, but the new CRM allows me to also send to the referral source and send to the co-borrower. So I like that much better. So this is great for what we had before the brand new CRM, but I'm going to actually move this over to CRM starting on Monday. And then down below, I have my prepackaged emails ready to go. So prepackaged emails would say things like, hey, assistant of mine, can you please prepare the final compliance for Jane Gale? Or, hey, you have a maturity date coming up in 3 months. I just wanted to follow up and figure out if you made a decision yet, or set up a signing meeting for Jack. Hey, this is what I'd like, to go through the documents. Here's, date 1, date 2, and date 3. I can actually start sending these out right from here as well. So I have a couple of different things that show up on my day. They keep me really, really well organized. I can phone people. I can text people. I can send emails that are prepackaged. And I've got these are everything else. Everything else are my one-off unique reminders that I use for all my deals. And the way that my others arrived here is that I went inside of an individual deal and I clicked add a task, and it's something that is a unique task for a specific client. And so they are all showing up under my day as well. So I want to show you, you probably already know how to do these. Like when you go into any given application, when it's a one-off reminder that you want to set for next Friday or for a month from now or for a year from now, inside of any deal, you just go to the deal specific tasks section and you just say, I want to add one unique thing that is special to this particular file. So those are your one-offs. You go into your deal, you go into your tasks. You can use the shortcut on the menu, or you can go scroll down until you find your deal specific tasks. And that is where you would set up those one-offs. Now, if you are doing something all the time for every single client, you don't have to add those one by one by one by one. That is when you start working on those workflows. That is when you automate the process, automate the script, let yourself be reminded automatically instead of you having to wake up at 2 in the morning and say, oh, I forgot to order that appraisal, right? So that's when we can actually start downloading this. So number 1, make your list of your full communication strategy. Number 2, anything that you want to set up as a phone reminder or an email reminder, you would add those into your workflows. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of ways you can set up workflows. If you could just bear with me for one quick second, my dog is scratching at my door and driving me a bit crazy. And he's whimpering. He's got a cone on his head. I feel sorry for him. So sorry about that. I am back. All right. My dog has now stopped scratching at the door and distracting me. Okay. So workflows. Here's how you set up your workflows. Now, by the way, for people who really love a place like a starting point, a jumping off point, and don't want to do everything manually or have to sort of use their imagination and think of ways to do this themselves, you can absolutely click on the right-hand corner here. You can look at the inactive. These are kind of like our original workflows that we built out way back when Velocity was still called Auto. And if you click on inactive, mine are a bit of a disaster, but in real life, you probably just have a whole suite of default workflows that are our original workflows. And what you'll notice on our original workflows is that we created a texting version, a phone call version, and an email version for all of our initial stages of communication. So feel free to look at these and see if they inspire you to do anything similar. So for example, when the deal is funded, what do you send out when the deal is funded? When a real deal has a closing date, when the conditions date, when all conditions are met, or when file complete has been satisfied, when the status changes to approved, when an appraisal has been ordered. These are all some ideas that you might choose to set up for yourself. If you're interested in any of these, you can scroll to the right and click this little edit button to see how the originals were set up. You could even activate them. If you like them exactly the way that they are, you can just you can just go down to the bottom, then you can say activate that and click save to close. What you cannot do is you can't make any changes to these. Like you can't say, oh, I just want to change it from being 0 days. I want it to be 5 days instead. The only thing you could do is you could add to the script, you could say hello first name, where you want their clients' first names to be filled in, and then you could click activate and save. But I prefer to just use these as a jumping off point, as a way for my ideas to start going through. And I prefer to build these out myself. So let's talk about how we build these ourselves. It's pretty easy. You just have to click the add workflow button on the top right-hand corner of the page. I wouldn't worry about adding a stage at this point, unless you get to the point where, like me, you have like 50 different workflows and you just want to keep them organized for yourself. The stage does not impact how a workflow operates. It just organizes the workflow page for you. So don't worry about stages unless you have 100. Click the add workflow button. Again, don't worry about putting it in a stage. Give your workflow a title. So the title is phone client, phone new potential client, let's say, right? So phone new potential client, that is the title of my workflow. That's what will show up under my day when this reminder pops up. Okay, so what triggers this reminder? So what triggers this reminder is that I've added a lead in, either that came in from my API, from my lead sourcing website, or I'm adding a lead in manually, or my assistant puts leads in the database for me. Would you like it to be the same day, 0 days from when you put the lead in? Would you like it to be 1 day later? Would you like it to be 5 days later? And sometimes a trigger can also be before, right? So if it was like 20 days before closing, for example, that option would come up. So this is going to be 1 day after a lead gets put in. Sometimes I like my reminders to only show up at a certain time of day. Like I like making all my phone calls in the morning, but I like sending all my text messages in the after, I don't know. I like to do all my maturity phone calls at 3 p.m. You can get specific if you like. I don't usually worry about that. Okay, and then do you want to set this up to be a phone call reminder, an email reminder, or a text messaging reminder? So that's where you get to choose the action. I'm going to make this a phone call reminder. And then this is important. Who gets the reminder? So if I work with an assistant, I need to be smart when I set these up, right? So normally if I'm a one-woman show, I'm going to set up all of my reminders go to me. So whoever is the agent on the file, whoever is the agent who owns the lead, me. For my stuff, I want the reminder to go to me. Sometimes you'll do things differently. Sometimes you'll say, okay, I want the phone call to order the flowers to go to my assistant, Josie, right? So you could go and you could say, okay, I want this reminder. So the client belongs to me, the deal belongs to me, but I want the reminder to go to my assistant. So that's when you would assign it to someone else. So agent is 99% of the time that we do these, unless we're setting things up for our assistant to do. That's when we would pick someone besides agent. And then here I write out my script. So I would put in, for a phone script, I would put in the rough script, maybe like the 5 points that I like to talk about when I call people. If I was setting this up as an email, I would actually write out the whole email. I would say, hello, first name. Maybe I'm an exclamation marks person, so I'd probably put an exclamation marks in there. I would say, it was so, I'm so happy that we had a chance to talk. I really look forward to I really look forward to helping you out with your mortgage needs. I might even put a link in there for my online application, whatever. It's totally up to you how you set up these workflows. Your email signature will automatically be attached if you have it set up in your settings. Maybe you have a brochure that you like to send as well. You can upload that here too if you want. You click it to activate it. You click save to add, and then you never think about it again. From now on, every single time a new lead gets entered, an item will pop up right on my homepage, actually. So even if I've already finished working on my day for the morning and I'm continuing doing the rest of my activities for the day, as I work my way through the day, if a new lead shows up, whatever way my leads come in, I will see right on my homepage that I need to phone somebody or email somebody or do an other. And I will also see it on my checklist. So you actually have it in 3 different spots. Homepage is great because it's there as soon as you log in. It's there as soon as you sit back down at your desk. My Day is great because that's where I can action things from. That's where I got the phone number. That's where I have the send option for texting, the send option, the bulk send option is in there, the access to drop into the deal and do all that good stuff. And for people who just love checklists, for items that are just really easy to do, like, yeah, I ordered the flowers, or yes, I prepared the compliance, then the checklist becomes really, really, because that's just where I can cross things off the list and say, yep, down payment. Yep, call the client. Yes, I did that. Yes, I talked about fixed versus variable. I just cross them off of my list. So 3 different spots where your workflows show up. So let's do another example of a workflow that you might want to set up to automate and download all of these, day-to-day practices. Let's do the appraisal has been ordered. The appraisal has been ordered. Maybe every time an appraisal has been ordered, I reach out to the realtor or the client, depending on each deal. So this one is a little bit more, involved. Each appraisal is slightly different. So what triggers this to come on is that you have an appraisal task, like you have an appraisal condition, and that you've clicked the button to say, I've ordered the appraisal. So if you do want to use something like this, I want you to keep that in mind. So we're going to create a brand new workflow that is all about appraisals. It reminds my assistant to follow up with the appraiser. It reminds my assistant to let the client or the realtor know, we need access to the house, we need keys, whatever it happens to be. So appraisal ordered, reach out to clients or realtors, right? So reach out to clients or realtors to arrange access. Doesn't really matter what we call it in this case. So the trigger is appraisal has been ordered. Like I said, this is in your conditions and documents of your deal. There is an appraisal condition. There's a little button in there that says ordered. You just click it. It says, I ordered it today. So if I ordered an appraisal today, I want a reminder to show up for my client, my assistant, whoever, to phone or email or text the right people and to say, hey, the appraisal has been ordered. You guys need to reach out and pay the bill, or you guys need to reach out and give access to the appraisal. So the appraisal has been ordered, assign the task to my assistant or assign the task to someone specific by name. I always like to do the by name one better than the assistant one. It's more precise and more specific. And then in here, I would just say appraisal ordered. Don't forget to get access to the house, or don't forget to reach out and figure out if the bill has been paid. Something like that. That works too. Another one is probably one of my favorite ones is like the 20 days from closing, 20 days away from closing reminder. So the 20 days away is funding date based, right? So in that case, I would use my closing date as my trigger. I would say we're 20 days before. And this is this is not for my pre-approval. So this is only for my approvals. And maybe I have a different one for my purchase and my purchase plus, and I have a slightly different one that goes to my refis. I like to have 2 different ones. One, because when I'm 20 days away on a purchase, I'm going to talk about moving companies and utilities and things like that. And maybe for my refi / ETOs, I'm going to mention the lawyer's office instead. So I have it set up to do an email. I have this assigned to myself so that I'm in charge of sending this one out. And then I'm going to package up the whole thing. It's going to say, hello, Jane, your deal is 20 days away from closing. And then I'm going to, mention, do I have all of your conditions? Do you have any last minute questions for me? Has your life insurance been organized? Don't quit your job. Don't buy a brand new car, and let me know if you have any questions, right? So I'm going to attach a brochure to my favorite moving company, maybe. I'm going to click activate. I'm going to click add, and I never have to think about it again. Every single time my deal is 20 days away from closing, it pops up on my screen. I can send text messages. I can make phone calls. I can send emails, and I don't have to think about any of that stuff at all. So you can see here I have a bunch that are specific to my leads. I have a bunch that are, congratulations, you've been pre-approved. How's the house hunt going? I have a few that are, what's next? Give me a Google review. I have a few that go out as soon as I have an approval, a few that are going out tracking maturity dates. Deal has been submitted. Your deal has been funded. Thank you. Now, like I said, I'm going to be migrating quite a few of these over to the brand new CRM. And that's mostly because I just love the new CRM. I love the new look of it. And I love that with the text messaging and with the text messaging has always been the case, but it's just smarter and it will reach out to my realtors as well. Whereas with workflows, you'd have to manually know if it's going to the realtor or the client. With the new CRM, it's much more automated. Okay, I've got a few things in the chat, so let me just take a second to see what's going on here. Can you push out workflows to your whole brokerage? So yes, you can if you have an office or broker admin account. So if you are using an admin account, if you have sort of this administration link on the left-hand side, that probably means that you have an office admin or a broker admin. If you are an office admin or a broker admin, yes, when you do workflows, they instantly become available to everyone at your brokerage. So you are kind of in charge of everything at the brokerage. So if you do see some in there that your individual agents have activated, try to be conscious of that, because you could actually, inactivate their workflows. You are in charge and you do have ultimate control over workflows for your office. So yes, that's a great question, Wes. Another question, is this session being recorded? Yes, it is. I'm sorry. I will absolutely share it and you can cascade it down to your team. Thanks, Sri. Do we have sample wording templates for workflows? So that's yes, you absolutely do. And like I said, if you click on the inactive and see the original ones that we created for you, there's lots of great ideas in there. Maybe I would definitely go through them all. Everyone has different style on wording. They're not, everyone has different styles. So I would say definitely take a look at them. And if you scroll to the right and click the little pencil, that's when you'll see what the actual, the original script looked like. And you want to personalize this. You want it to feel like it's not a robot sending your stuff out, that it's actually you sending stuff out. So yeah, there is some, if you click inactive, top right-hand corner, scroll down and look for all the ones that we created out of the box. You can see some scripts. You can copy and paste them into your own if you like. Can these emails go automatically? Okay, so anything that we have shown you so far for workflows, these all pop up automatically, but you are the one who has to click the send button. Anything that you want to go all by itself, that's going to be the next step we talk about, which is the CRM piece. So if you want anything to just go all by itself, birthday, I don't want to have to see all the birthdays. Just send them. Just go. Just send. Holidays, I just want them to go. I don't want to have to see them all. Those would go automatically. CRM, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Will this be available in the learning section on the Newton website? Well, yeah, it actually already is. If you go to our learning section, either the question mark in the bottom right-hand corner or newton.ca/learn, and you type workflows, they are all in there. There's a video, I think there's written instructions, and there's a few examples that you could use. So there's how to work off of My Day and how to set up all of your workflows. It's already there. What would you suggest using My Day versus the new CRM? Okay, so yeah, Justin, I might not have been too clear on that. So what I would do on My Day is obviously my phone calls, right? My phone calls, those have to be physically done by me. I would set them up under My Day. Anything that is text messaging, I would actually start migrating all of my text messages over to CRM now, because like I said, the text can go to the realtor, borrower one, or all borrowers. So I do prefer the text messaging on CRM starting tomorrow, because that's when it was available. The emails, I would probably also, a combination of the two, I think. I think I would do a lot of the deal specific day-to-day stuff. Deals approved, conditions are outstanding, deal has been, appraisal has been ordered. I would probably still do a lot of the day-to-day status updates through My Day, because it's right there. It's right on my calendar. It's right on my dashboard. And then anything that's more like birthdays and thank you letters and ongoing CRM, I would do those through the CRM. So like, and I'm still kind of figuring it out myself because the CRM is still brand new. But yeah, anything like setting up a signing meeting, preparing final compliance, quick reminder, do you have home insurance in place? I would probably prefer to have those on my day because like I said, they are right on my homepage. They are right on my dashboard. I can see them right away. I can, remove them, postpone them till next week without having to switch over to the CRM quite as often. Okay, so let's talk about the CRM. Let's go in and do a little bit about CRM. So there is full on Velocity CRM training. I think there's one happening today. I think Vivian is hosting the very first one today. Every week, if you go in, there's a specific session that's all about CRM. But to give you a Coles Notes version of how to do this, you start off by setting up templates. So the actual content, what does the email or the text message look like? And then once you have all your templates ready to go and looking fancy and pretty, then you create campaigns. So I'm just going to start off with the text messaging option since we already talked about that a little bit. So when you click on templates, you can click on the SMS templates, right? We have email templates and we have text messaging templates. So I don't have any to start with. So I'm going to create an SMS template. The template name is going to be called New Lead, introduce myself, or, new client or whatever, introduce myself. And then I can decide, there's merge fields that I can put in these. And then down here, I just type my message. So I would just type it out like I did on my workflows. Hello, Mary, not agent, borrower. Hello, borrower, hello, recipient first name. Because I want this to go to everybody. Hello, recipient first name. It was great. I would love the chance to work with you. Here's my text messaging number, whatever it happens to be, just fill it out. And if you want anything else to be populated in there, you could have like a closing date pre-filled in there. You could have the lender pre-filled in there. Like, so if you're doing text messaging templates that say you're pre-approved with TD, or you could say you're pre-approved and we're going to hold your rate until, and it'll put in the closing date. You could say, this is regarding your property at 123 Main Street. It's totally up to you if you want to add some of these fillable fields in there. But that's how you set up the template. So I'm going to just fix this up a little bit. Hello, this is the number I will text from. If you want to call me, please use. So the text messaging, you do keep in mind, right? It's just for text messaging. It's a back and forth between you and your client for texting. It's awesome because the whole communication that you have with that client is stored on their contact. So you don't have to go searching back through your cell phone to find a conversation from 3 months back. So I always like to just send out a quick introduction that says, hello, recipient first name. This is the number I will be texting you from if you need to speak with me. Voice calls can be, please store this number in your phone. Something along those lines, you would add those in here. So this could be my deal is approved. Your deal is approved. What time is good to go over the commitment? This could be your deal has been submitted. I'll let you know as soon as we have an ETA from the lender. This could be anything you want. You just create the template and save. Okay, first step is create the template. Next, you're going to create a campaign that actually will start looking for people who qualify to receive this template, and it will start sending it out to people. So we're going to create a brand new campaign. You can use a pre-built campaign. We're building them out right now, or you can create one yourself. So I'm going to call this my new lead text. And I'm going to say, get started. So this is where it's going to say, okay, is this based on deal activity? Is it based on contact activity? Or is it based on property? I'm actually going to make this one a deal-based campaign. They all have different purposes. They all have different times that they suit each other. And I'm setting it up either as an email or a texting campaign. So this is going to be my texting campaign. I'm going to click SMS and I'm going to say continue. And I want it to be dynamic. Dynamic means that as I keep adding new people into my database, it keeps looking to see if they qualified for the campaign and sending them out. Whereas a targeted campaign, this is like I made a list of 10 people that I want to send this to, and those are the only 10 people who get this campaign. So 9 times out of 10, we're going to use dynamic because it keeps adding new people in and adding them along the way. Okay, so this is going to go to the borrowers, all borrowers, right? So not just the primary. Sometimes I don't know why we would do just the primary anymore, but all borrowers will get the same text. I'm going to send this campaign when whenever a deal has been entered. There we go. Whenever the deal has been entered today, whenever the deal is entered today, this campaign will basically turn on. And then we start putting the content in, the stages. Is it just one text message we send? Are there 4 text messages that go at different intervals? So this is the first text. And then I open it and I pick my little template there. So what is going to go out to this client? And I'm going to pick my new lead, introduce myself template that I just created. I'm going to decide, okay, what are the rules for this stage? So when does it go out? And again, it goes out as soon as my deal entry date is today. This text message is going to go out. Do I need to approve this? Do I want this to go out all by itself? Or do I always want to have a quick look before these text messages are sent, just in case it doesn't make sense, just in case I already talked to this client? Or so you can say, yes, I need to be the one who says good to go. Or I can say, you know what, you can leave it on my dashboard for 6 hours and then automatically send it. Gives me a chance to catch things. But if I'm really, really busy, they'll just automatically go. Or maybe I just want it to go automatically after 0 hours. I don't want to have to approve it at all. Just automatically send this text to every single new borrower. Every time a deal gets created, the text message is automatically going to those people. If I want, I could add a stage 2. 5 days later, I follow up with them and say, hey, have any questions for me? You can add more stages. But as a very, very basic, simple text messaging campaign, I would say publish. It's going to say, are you sure? We're going to save it. It's going to automatically overwrite any old versions of that campaign. And now I'm done. I don't have to think about it anymore. My new leads, every time I create a brand new application, all borrowers will get my text message that says, hey, it's Michelle. This is the number. You can communicate with me via text if you like. If you want to talk to me over the phone, here's my number instead. And that's basically how you set up your text messaging campaigns. So I really like this one. Like I said, the original CRM on my day was great for what it did, but it only would sort of fill in the first person's name, and I have to manually update to send to both borrowers. And I didn't have the chance to send to the realtor. So I really like this version instead. Okay, more questions in the chat. Just give me 1 second here. When we are giving our contact number for texting, how long will the system keep the log? Okay, Rajiv, I don't know if I'm understanding correctly. When you say how long will the system keep the log, the text that goes to the client and any responses that come back from the client will be stored in your deal forever. There is no limit to how long. It will be whenever you look at that client's contact record, you will see text messages from 10 years ago. You will see text messages history 10 years from now. And even if they change their text messaging number, it will just continue. It will always be stored in the customer's contact page. When you send a template to one person, can you send a template to one person when we want to? Example, send the info sheet based on a phone call that just occurred. So yes, you could. You could have a template that is in there, and you could have a campaign that is audience-based instead. So that means that whenever you wanted to send just to that one person, you would have to go into your audience list, create an audience list of 1. So let's say create an audience list for Archie, and then put your campaign and say, send this campaign to my audience list of Archie. So yes, you could, or you could just make it one of your, workflow items, depending on, how often it would come up. Audience list of 1 would probably be the easiest way to just send it like a an ad hoc, just sending a campaign, including someone new in the campaign just whenever you feel like it. Okay, let me just make sure I didn't miss any of your questions. And like I said, so Vivian is hosting a really detailed, much more slowed down version of CRM campaigns. For those of you who have not signed up yet, she will be hosting them every single week. Whenever you go to create a campaign, like we said, there will be some pre-built campaigns in there that you can start building off of, or you can create your own. And there will be pre-built templates in there too, where you can go in and see what the out of the box, like when you say create a template, there will be generic themes in there if you're an independent brokerage. If you are part of DLC or MCC or MA, there will be network themes that came down from your own head offices as well. You can choose any of these themes as a starting point. You could go in there and actually just change whatever you want on there. You like this image, but you actually want it to be not about refinance. You want this image to be about pre-approvals. Then you can absolutely take any of the templates that are in there, make them your own, and then just change the language to suit whatever it is that you would rather have it say. So they give you a whole bunch. They're actually very fair, very stylish and well designed, but all you do is click and start replacing the text wherever you want to replace the text to start using these pre-built campaigns. And like I said, all of these campaigns can be set up that require your approval before they go. I love approval for maturity letters because I never want to send a maturity letter to someone who's already renewed with me, renewed early. So and then there are some that are just go birthday. I don't need to approve birthdays. Just send them out. Whenever you're ready. Are Vivian's sessions different each week? No, they're going to be the same session for the next little while. We have about 3,000 brokers who are all trying to learn the CRM at the same time. So if you go onto our newton.ca main page, or if you're on the learning page and you click the menu on the left-hand side, live online training is the one that you want to look for. And Vivian's session, I think it's just called CRM campaigns. So it's down near the bottom, advanced training, CRM campaigns. This is the one. It's going to be the same session over and over for the first little while. We will absolutely start to modify them and add to them as time goes on, as we build and add more features into the CRM. We absolutely will be adding more of those in there too. So how are we doing for time? It's 10:51. We've been online for 50 minutes so far. So I guess I just want to have a little bit of take the temperature of the room a little bit here. Is there anything that you wished we were going to talk about today that we have not had a chance to talk about yet? I know after 51 minutes, like it starts to get a little boring listening to someone. So I just wanted, if you have something that you really would love to go over, I'm happy to do that. For those people who need to get back to their desks, I want to be able to tie things up for you as well. Is there anything did you have a question in the chat that I missed? Feel free to take yourselves off mute now and ask me anything. Okay, so for those of you who missed the beginning, my first advice to you was make a list, base it off of your dashboard statuses, think about what your ideal strategy might be for your communication. And then if you need any help with these, I'm more than happy to help you brainstorm along the way. In between sessions, I can give you a call, we can talk for 15 minutes. And we can go through anything that you're trying to figure out how to set up that you haven't quite figured out yet.
Hey, Michelle, can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for the session. It's very informative. But I just wanted to ask you, does Velocity Calendar allows us to grab a link and have the clients to when you send an email automatically to book an appointment with us?
So our calendar does not have a calendar booking option in it. If you did have a service Calendly or something like that, you could absolutely add your link into any of your texts or emails, but no, it would not be a direct scheduler inside of our calendar. Unfortunately not. It's a really good idea though. We should probably look at perhaps adding Calendly to our linked providers at some point.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, for those of you who were interested, I will just send out the recording to everyone. If you're not interested, just hit delete. But I will send it out to anyone because a few of you did ask that you might want to share some of this info with your team. Everything that we talked about today is on the training page. You absolutely can search by text. You can search by workflows. You can search by CRM. And a few that we didn't have a chance to talk about, you can still search by, which is the Easy account and the e-sign. You're welcome, Wes. Thank you for coming. And if you guys need anything at all, feel free to reach out to me personally. You can also reach the whole training team at newton.ca. That way you got 4 different trainers who might respond back to you, whoever is available next. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and for picking Velocity as your system. Thanks so much, guys. Great day.